Hey guys, so in this episode we will create a dynamic weapon system where we can easily create as many weapons as we want, and we will add tons of features to a weapon database. And so when I hit now play, I already implemented the system. So when I hit play, I've added here a new gun now with a different sound and also a different shooting timer and a different ammo size and a magazine size, and all of that is working just fine, as you can see. So yeah, super fun actually. And I can dynamically change this, so I can set the gun index to 0, and this will then also load different gun mesh, as you can see. So this was basically our original gun that we had before. And so yeah, with that we can easily load in new guns and things like that, which is pretty fun. So yeah, without further ado, let's get started. So the first thing what we need to do, and by the way, I just created here a scripts folder, so you can do the same as well to make your project more organized. Simply right click here inside the assets folder or window and then go to create folder and then just call it scripts and just put all your scripts inside there. And then we can create a new script, and let's just call this one guns data. Okay, I actually called mine gun data because I played around before I recorded this lesson, this episode. So simply ignore these scripts here. We just start here complete from scratch. Okay, so here inside guns data, we can remove the mono behavior, because here we will basically define what our guns are or what the data is. So I will add a public int which will be an ID, then public int for the ammo, and then a public int for the magazine, and then we also want to have original and then we also want to have maybe a string for the name, and then a game object for the weapon mesh, and then we also want to have I guess an audio clip for the shoot sound. Make sure to remove here the underscore. And have I forgot something? Yeah, let's add also a float for the shoot timer. I think that would be basically it. Yeah, I mean, we can always come back later on and add stuff if we have missed something. So let's create another public, and let's call this one guns data, like so. And then we will add here an int underscore ID, int ammo, and it's very important that you also add these underscores, otherwise it won't work. And then we will add a string for the name, and then a game object for the weapon mesh, so underscore weapon mesh, and then audio clip for the shoot sound, and then we will also add the float for the shoot timer. And then we will simply add that to our data here. So equals to ammo underscore ammo, magazine equals to underscore magazine, and then the name will be equal to underscore name, the weapon mesh to underscore weapon mesh, and so on. So shoot sound, and then finally shoot timer equals to shoot timer. Okay, and then the next thing we need to do is to head over to the player and create your kind of like a database that will act as an inventory, although we will actually create in another episode a re-inventory. But for now, let's create a new script, and let's call weapons database. And then we can open up weapons database, and here we create simply a public list which will contain the guns data, and we will call this just guns and make this equal to gun list guns data. Alright, that's actually all we have to do. Now if we head over back to our inspector, you see that even though we have made this list public, we still cannot see that, and that's because we have to make our gun data actually a serial serializable field. So here we can say system serializable. And so with that, we should be able to see the guns list inside our weapons shooting script. So there we go. We can now click on that, and now we can add here elements. So let's just create 2 new elements. And if I open up one of these elements, you will see that we have now all these attributes here. We can now dynamically add new weapons super easily. So the first one will have the ID of 0. The ammo size will be 64, to make it more obvious, 128, and 32 magazine size. The name will be standard weapon. For the game object, we will use prefab, so simply drag and drop the gun placeholder to the asset window here, and this will then create a new prefab, and then we can just grab that and drag and drop that over here. And then for the audio, I will just use different sounds to what we had before, so I will use the kick gun sound, and then for shooting timer, it's just use 0.2. And now back to our shooting script. We can now grab all of the data that we have inside our weapons database. Here we can say weapons database, weapon database, and then we can initialize this here quickly inside start. So weapon database equals to get component in children, and then we grab the weapons database. And then we can basically add all of the data that we have to our data inside our shooting script. So I can now say, for example, ammo equals to weapon database guns. Then we grab the first element and we will say ammo. And the same for magazine, weapon data guns, first one magazine. And now when I go back and hit play, you will see that the values of our ammo and magazine inside our shooting script will change to the ammo and the magazine values that we have inside our weapons database script. So if I hit play, should get now here ammo of 128, which is the case. And yeah, everything is pretty much working. So let's just repeat this for all the other things as well. So the shoot timer will be equal to the weapon database guns shoot timer. And what else do we have? I think that's it. And then down here inside where we reload, we need to adjust this here as well. So here we need to say weapon database guns, and then simply grab the magazine. And then here we want to make this minus the weapons, actually minus the magazine. Let's test this out. If I shoot now a magazine empty, and press now on reload. I subtract the magazine from the ammo. Nice. I saved here everything. Okay, so this is all working, right? The next thing is to dynamically render the weapon mesh, because currently it's just static. So I will create here a serialized feed for call it game object and call it. Do we actually need to do that? I don't think so. What we actually need to do is to grab the, we need to grab the camera. So we'll say main cam. And then down here, we'll define the main cam as the camera.main. So with that, we basically just grab the main camera that is attached to our player, right? And then what I want to do is, I want to instantiate the mesh that we have attached to our weapon database and attach it to the main camera, okay, so that we can dynamically render meshes. So that's actually straightforward to do that. So what we need to do is say game object gun mesh and make this equal to instantiate, and then we need to grab the weapons data guns weapon mesh, and we want to instantiate this somewhere. Okay, so I want to say main cam transform, and then we also need to add rotation, which will be just the quaternion identity. And then down here we can say gun mesh transform parent, and this will be equal to the, and actually I think we have to add here position. There we go. And this parent will be equal to the main cam transform. Okay, so with that, the gun should be now spawned at the main camera position, and it should be also automatically attached to the camera. So we can pretty much remove for now the gun placeholder here. And when I hit now play, the gun will be attached to our camera and everything's working. However, we cannot really see the gun anymore, right? And if we look here at our scene, it seems like our gun disappeared, right? But if we look closely, you see our gun is just inside our mesh now. That's because we just said literally, hey, attach it simply right inside or at the same position as the camera. But if I take the gun mesh and replace it to the main camera, you see that it actually has here these values, right? If we change them, we also change the position of the gun. So what we need to do is we need to apply this here to our main cam transform position. So I would say new vector 3, and I will grab the main cam transform position x plus the x value, and then I will repeat that for the other two values as well. So position y plus, and then we'll grab the y position like so, and then finally let's do this also for the position z, and here we will grab just the z value and paste it in like so, and then we need to close that. And with that, when I remove now the gun placeholder again from our scene, it should now be finally attached right at the position of the main camera. And there we go, it worked. However, we have still one error. So when we go here to the console, you see we have variable shoot point of shooting has not been assigned. So the shooting point is inside our prefab, right? So if I attach this here quickly, we have added this gun point here, right? In I think the last episode. So we need to dynamically add that now to our shooting script as well. And we can do this really easily. All we have to do is to say shooting point is equal to the gun mesh transform get component in children. And then we just grab the transform that we have attached to it. And with that, everything should work. So when I hit now play, we no longer should get this error here, and at the same time all the effects should work again. So yeah, we have now basically a dynamic system. And to prove this, we can quickly save the scene before I wrap up here this lesson. Let's create another element here, and this one will have the ID of 1, ammo size of 64, magazine 32, another gun, and I will create a second asset or a prefab. So what you can do is you can simply grab the gun placeholder or drag and drop it back to your scene, and then just the values here. So I simply made this like a little bit bigger, like so, to see like a difference from our original gun. And then I'll just drag and drop that here to the asset window and clicked on original prefab, and so this will create a new prefab. And we can then take this new create prefab and simply drag and drop that here to our second element. And then as for the sound, we can use for this one maybe the impactor again, and the shooting timer is maybe 0.2. And now what we need to do is we need to create quickly also public index, because right now we are hard coding the element ID inside our script here, which is not really convenient. So I will create another serialized field, say int, and then we'll say gun index, and by default this will be set to 0. And then instead of hard coding here the value in, we can now say gun index. And so this will then always automatically grab the element that we want to grab. The only downside is now that we have to adjust this here everywhere where we have where we use the weapon database. So gun index, and that should be it. So if I change this now here inside the shooting script, if I say now instead of 0 1, this should grab now the second gun. And before I actually hit play, make sure to remove the gun placeholder here. And so now when I hit play, there we go. Let me quickly put on my headset. Alright, and if I change this now, I think we can do this in play mode. If I say now 0, okay, it didn't work because we instantiate the data in the start method, and we only, like, the start method is only initialized when we hit play. So that's why it's not working when we are in play mode. But if I change this back to 0, this should now work. We should now grab the first gun inside our weapon database. And yes, and as you can see, it also dynamically renders now the measures. This is pretty awesome, right? So with that, we have basically everything down. We have a full working weapon system, just like I said in the beginning. With that, we can easily now add tons of new weapons, and we can easily attach new weapon meshes to it, and shooting sounds and stuff like that. You could also add the hit particles and the bullet holes to the weapon database or to gun database, and then add this here also to weapon database to have a more dynamic hit system. But I don't want to overcomplicate here things. I think you get the idea how things work with that, and you can do that if you want. So maybe I will add this in another episode, but to make this not too long here, I will wrap up here this episode. Let's just check out what we got so far. So we can move around, we can jump, we can shoot, we get these hit particles, we get a shooting sound, and we have a dynamic weapon system. If I change this here to 1, we will grab the second gun, and we will have then a different sound. And actually let's change this to kick gun. So we have different ammo size, a different magazine size, and our sound is not really working. That's because I forgot actually to add this here as well. So for the gun sound, we need to do one more thing. We need to say gun sound equals to the weapon database guns. Then we can grab the gun index, and then we can say shoot sound. Shoot sound. And here we need to say actually .clip. All right. So with that, we should finally also load in dynamically the weapon sound. So if I hit play, we should now have a different sound, the kick gun action sound actually. Yeah. All right. All right. So super fun. I don't know if you guys enjoyed as much as I do, but this series is really like a lot of fun. All right. So I hope you learned a lot as always. For the next episode, we will make our weapon script even more dynamic so that we can change the weapon inside the play mode with the mouse wheel, for example, or with the number buttons. So that's something for the next episode. And I guess we will then also take care of a health system or maybe a damage system, because we already added also inside our gun data the damage. Actually, we didn't, but we can do this later on. We will add the damage to our gun data so that we can dynamically also deal damage depending on which weapon we currently have. And yeah, that would be it. As always, guys, thanks for watching, and see you maybe next time. Bye.